Hey guys, it's MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video, and there's still more concerns and things that I want to address when it comes to my favorite hobby and also entertainment. And we already covered two topics already, especially when it comes to the West and how they depict women in video games, and then also, of course, the hypocrisy that we pointed out and how journalists cover certain games when it comes to objectification and sexualization. More specifically, the example is Baldur's Gate 3 versus how they cover specific games from the East when it comes to Eastern developers, how they don't get that same fair treatment. So if you guys haven't checked out both of those videos, suggest you go check it out. It was a fun, entertaining video, and I also enjoyed the feedback that you guys leave. So in this video, I want to cover another issue that I have that's going on.
Representation.
Even more depressing statistics about the lack of diversity.
Embrace races, ages, ideologies, personality.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion are everyone's responsibility.
In today's culture, which is this whole diversity and inclusion initiative that they have going on. So before we dive into this video, hit that subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So what brought up this topic? Well, essentially, I was pretty much eating lunch and I noticed an Asmongold video had popped up, and it was talking about Diablo 4. And how the developers don't even understand their own game, and he pretty much essentially gave his reaction to it, went on with some issues that they have as far as, you know, balancing and just some of the idiotic decisions that they've been making, and a lot of fans are pretty much upset and don't know why the developers are just doubling down on the idiocracy that they have going on. So I had pretty much made a post of Asmongold's reaction because there was something that really stood out to me, which made me want to use this to, I guess you could say, platform onto this topic of diversity and inclusion.
Hi, I'm Deanie. I am a senior dungeon designer on Diablo 4.
Howdy, I'm Josie, an associate designer on Diablo 4. What are we playing today, Deanie?
So,
what are they playing with? Controllers. By the way, I know obviously anytime that there's a woman on the screen, there are people that smell like Cheetos who take that as an invitation to make a comment on their appearance. There are so many things wrong with this game. I don't want to fucking see your opinion on somebody's haircut.
See, in this video, he noticed something, and he noticed these two young ladies in the way they appear in their appearance. And he also scolded his audience and tried to preemptively tell them not to judge them based on their appearance, but he noticed their appearance. That's the first thing he noticed, and that's why he brought it up, because he's thinking the same thing, but he won't say it. So I'm going to say it. The first thing that came to my mind, and I could be completely wrong, but the thing that came to my mind is the fact is that when I see these two, I just think of diversity hire. Now, the thing is, I know some of you guys are going to come in here and say, oh, because they're women. No, and I'm going to just nip this in the bud right now. It has nothing to do with their sex, their gender, or whatever you want to say, their race or anything. Because have you ever heard of Amy Hennig? If you haven't heard of Amy Hennig, she's one of the most iconic and legendary writers in the video game industry. Some of you may even be familiar with her work and even played some of her games when it comes to her story. If you guys are the younger generation and play the most modern games, you would know. If you don't know, Amy Hennig is the writer behind the Uncharted series, one of the highest selling Naughty Dog franchises of all time, one of the highest selling Sony exclusives of all time. Some of you old heads out here like myself, the Legacy of Kain franchise, Amy Hennig had also written for Legacy of Kain as well, and she has so many other games that's in her portfolio that shows that she's a competent writer, a competent person who brought merit to the company. So this has nothing to do with her, a woman, or their gender, their sex, or whatever they want to identify themselves as. The problem with today's diversity and inclusion is not really based on merit or anything at all. It's more so based on their skin color, sexual orientation, and all these other shallow attributes before the quality that they bring to the company. Those things are more important than the merit that they're supposed to have bring to this business in today's diversity and inclusion initiative. To me, it's all a scam. See, growing up as a kid, I never noticed these things about wanting diversity and inclusion, because when you create great stories or you have a great product, it doesn't matter what the person looked like from the outside. It's about whether or not you're able to connect with these characters. Because even as a man, I'm able to connect with a female character. Because it's about the journey that the character experiences. It's about the journey that they go through. And vice versa. Women can connect with male characters. It doesn't matter. Or anything of that matter in order to relate to that character. Because a person can look like me. A character can look like me. But it doesn't mean that because they look like me, I automatically understand them or relate to them. Because we all have different experiences. But we have to have some commonality in some form of another outside of the shallowness. So when I think about diversity and inclusiveness, in my sense, is diversity of thought. That's more important. Bringing different ideas together and bring it together to create something amazing. It's much more important than whether or not a person looks like me or what genitalia that they have between their legs. I think this is all nonsense. So before any of you all say sexism, incel, or whatever like that, it has nothing to do with that. I'm more about merit rather than how a person look or whatever physical attributes that they have. So I ask you this question, especially me as a person of color, which I hate. How would you feel that you being hired solely based on your skin color? That a company or a project doesn't care what you bring to the table at all. They don't care about your ideas. They don't care about your thoughts. They don't care about you as a person. All they care about is your skin color. Because to that company or to that project, all they see you as is a mascot. And that's the thing that I don't like about this whole today, especially today with diversity and inclusion. Me being a person of color, I wouldn't want to be on a project or chosen solely because, hey, I would look good. I would bring a good image to them. And when it comes to whatever ideas or thoughts that I have and want to bring, they don't really care. They won't take any of my suggestions. I'm just there to be their mascot. To me, that's disrespectful. I would feel disrespected that way. So why would anybody want that? And that's the direction what this diversity and inclusion is basically doing. We're starting to see people in position of power, position of authority, and sitting in these positions that they don't even belong in, but they're there because they make the company look good. They make other companies say, look how diverse we are, or they try to patronize the audience or customers, say, hey, look, we're open, we're inclusive, now come buy our product. And it doesn't work that way because people like me see through the nonsense. We see through it all. So that's why I asked you this question. I'm going to ask you this question right now, especially today. When has diversity and inclusion had yielded any positive results as far as gaining the trust of the audience, the customer base, and also yielding in actual profits, being lucrative? Because in my personal opinion, I don't see it. Right now, we see companies, especially the streaming services, two specifically, Netflix, and we also see Disney Plus, losing billions and billions of dollars. A lot of these programs that they have that's going on their streaming services is just downright garbage. It sucks. And a lot of these programs and a lot of these projects they're using, it's all based on diverseness and inclusiveness, which doesn't work. And what proves that it doesn't work, you see a lot of companies that's trying to do this and implement this in their work and in their projects, and they're losing billions. And now we looking to the point where now we're starting to see a lot of these chief officers of these diverse departments being fired left and right. And that's what's going on right now. Because if you notice, when you look at these diversity officers and these inclusive departments, most of them are women or people of color. And you can tell that these people are being used as a monolith, as a mascot for these platforms. And as they said themselves in these articles, that there's a shift that's about to happen. There's a shift that's about to go on, especially in the tech space, where this diverse and inclusiveness, this experiment or this project just isn't working. And now it's time to cut loose and cut them and let them go. Because when it comes to this diverse and inclusionness, these people are being hired above people who actually bring something to the table. And since they're being the first to be hired, they're also the first to be fired once, especially when the pendulum swing the other way, and especially when these companies start to realize that their profits is just tanking, their stock is just going down. So this is why I bring this up. And the funny thing about all this too, which I find pretty funny, is you remember when Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter, and when the deal had finally went through, and the first thing journalists did was try to paint Elon Musk as this, I guess you say, white supremacist or this sexist, misogynist pig by posting up this iconic image that I will post here that you would see to the side. Now in the image, you notice that you see Elon Musk. It shows a picture of what Twitter looks like before Elon Musk took over, and then what Twitter looks like once Elon Musk officially took over Twitter. Now, you notice the difference. On the left, you see that there's more women. You may see even people of color in the picture, and it shows the inclusiveness, of the staff. And then you look on the right, after Elon Musk took over, you notice that there was a shrinkage within the company that's going on. But you do notice that most of the staff that's in this picture is mostly male, more specifically Asian men and white men. And a lot of people just went crazy over it and started just posting it all over Twitter, demonizing Elon Musk. But to me, this picture really pointed out something to me, because when I look at this picture, when I look at this, Elon Musk as a businessman, he wants to see proficiency. He wants to see people who's actually going to do the job. And as you see many articles, he got more so rid of the communication department, and the communication department was mostly women, sadly, and also people of color. But when you look at the other staff members on the side of it, mostly Asian men and white men, I guarantee you that most of these men over here were the programmers, were the backbone of the company, the people that you never see out in the open. These are the people that's in the basement, that's keeping Twitter afloat, that's up early in the morning, come home late at night, that's working almost like 24 hours around the clock. These are the people that's sweating doing all the work, that don't have time to post on Twitter or social media. Compared to what you saw, see, before Elon Musk took over, you saw a video of a female staff member was showing the day in the life of a Twitter employee.
It was really cool. I played some foosball with my friends to kind of unwind a bit. Also found this really cool meditation room that I thought was super neat. I didn't do any yoga, but they have this yoga room if you are a yogi, so also thought that was really cool. Had a couple more meetings in the afternoon, had a ton of projects that we needed to knock out. Say hey to my teammates. Went to the library to kind of get some more work done. Obviously had to have our afternoon coffee, so made some espresso.
And when you look at this video, you would see that it's almost like paradise there. No one is doing work. Everybody yoga. Everybody just, like, to me, it's just like one of the easiest jobs. Like, everybody will want, like people's getting paid to do nothing. So I can see why Elon Musk had went in there and said, okay, it's time for y'all to go. Because after that woman posted that, she lost her job because Elon Musk took over. So you can imagine the type of lifestyle and the type of work style or work life it was like for certain people that was there. And you can see it. So I'm going to ask you again. When have diversity and inclusion have benefited companies in today's social climate? Now, another thing about diversity and inclusion that I really can't stand is how they try to implement it and squeeze it into brands or franchises that it just doesn't belong. Especially Bud Light. Dylan Mulvaney. He's a perfect example. Now me, I don't really drink alcohol. I'm not really a beer drinker. But we all do know, even though both men and women consume alcohol, drink beer, but when it comes to advertisement and when it comes to Bud Light and many other alcohol beverages, it's more so advertised towards the male audience. That's their target demographic. That's why you see in commercials it may have, or posters, you may have the hot woman in the bikini holding a beer can, or you'll see sports like football and maybe basketball or hockey or anything like that. It's a testosterone filled audience that they market beer to. But then you turn around, Bud Light, for some strange reason, decide to hire Dylan Mulvaney, who's also a trans woman, to pretty much sponsor or be the figurehead for Bud Light. That doesn't make sense. To advertise an audience of mostly heterosexual males. Make that make sense. And then what makes it worse is you have the marketing director who came in and said this stupid answer during the interview.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light.
So the brand is, she's claiming that the brand is dying down. And yet you think is somehow going to increase the brand awareness or make it profitable by having a transgender woman be the mouthpiece or the face of the Bud Light brand? Come on, people. Make that make sense. And to me, she said she was just hired recently, not too long ago. So in my personal opinion, I believe she was a diversity hire, because a person who had real competence would sat there and really would have thought for a second and said that, you know what, maybe having a trans woman present Bud Light to a mostly male demographic is not a good idea. So this is an individual who have their own agenda that's in their head and really want to put that on this audience. Dylan didn't belong there. That whole situation, trying to squeeze diversity and inclusion in a brand such as Bud Light and just beer in general, just doesn't make sense. And that's the problem that we have when it comes to this. But we're not done yet. How about Disney Star Wars trying to force diversity and inclusion in this franchise? Kathleen Kennedy destroyed the Star Wars brand. Everything that George Lucas had built when it came to Star Wars, this woman came right in and within 10 years destroyed everything. I don't even look at Star Wars the same. I don't even enjoy Star Wars. The moment I see Star Wars, I'm like, whatever. And Star Wars has always been treated as a cultural event. Each time a Star Wars movie came out, it was a cultural event. Everybody stopped what they're doing. Everybody ran to the movie theaters. There was no sense of having this diversity and inclusion because Star Wars included everybody. It didn't matter what color you were. People got out and went out in droves, got in line, camped out, and watched Star Wars, collect the figures. Everybody shared this passion, which was Star Wars. And then you have Kathleen Kennedy who comes in and have this nonsense in this narrative, the Force is female. You never heard George Lucas and many or anybody who was in charge of Star Wars at the time say the Force was male. But she comes in with this initiative, the Force is female. Already right there, you just cut off a demographic of mostly males who enjoyed Star Wars. Destroyed it, just like that. Anybody can be a Jedi. Anybody. It was open to anybody, no matter what your sexual orientation was. Didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. And they turned around and just flipped it on his head. And then you turn around and then you have the new Acolyte series coming up. And their whole initiative, as they push this brand, is about fighting against the patriarchy. That women never had a chance or an opportunity to be in Star Wars when Princess Leia was the monolith for it.
She's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be in that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure. I love to see it.
There was plenty of strong female characters in Star Wars, especially in the novels themselves. And we pretend that it somehow just doesn't exist. Like, George Lucas is just watching his baby burn. He watching his project just go to shit. And let's talk about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is another project or another situation where diversity and inclusiveness wasn't needed. If you're going to make a live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it already writes itself. One, you have a female lead. Two, you have seven dwarves. You have 7 small people that can actually play those roles. People who don't really have those opportunities. And then you have a person like Peter Dinklage who comes in, who's actually a great actor for especially a person with his disability, him being a small person. This guy has pretty much won the hearts of everybody, especially in Game of Thrones. And I also liked them in Days of Future Past as well. Great actor. Didn't even care about his disability. He was a great fucking actor. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to merit over top of diversity and inclusiveness, because he can act his ass off. And then this dumbass turns around and pretty much makes a whole spiel to TMZ and many other outlets about, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and how having dwarves, I'm paraphrasing, is pretty much a step backwards.
Take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause?
When it comes to that, or it's insensitive. And him saying that caused Disney to change everything so they can look like they're being inclusive. Which at the end of the day, you have one dwarf person and the rest are people of color and all these other different groups that's representing the supposed 7 dwarfs, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And all it did was it killed opportunity for people who have that dwarf disability. Because it's been all over the news how these people with this disability were now cut out of opportunities because of this idiot, this moron, Peter Dinklage, after he capitalized and made a ton of money and was giving opportunities to make money. Despite his disability, he ended up closing the door for people just like him. And this is what I'm talking about. Diversity and inclusion was not needed for Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. It wasn't. It was already diverse as it was. And now you excluded people from it, trying to be inclusive. Make that make sense, people. Make it make sense. And then poor Henry Cavill. We gotta mention Henry Cavill with The Witcher. Everybody been loving the Witcher game, more specifically Witcher 3. It's became some of the best role-playing experience that people have ever experienced when it comes to The Witcher. I haven't played The Witcher 3. My brothers and them have. They enjoyed the game. I'm definitely going to get around to it when I get a chance. But from what I've seen of the game, and even the characters, and how well written from watching my brothers and them, looks like a pretty good game. And the fans enjoy it. And it was also based after a book. And that series was already diverse. It had a lot of diverse female leads. And then they turn around, the writers turn around, take Henry Cavill, who's playing as Geralt, the Witcher, and the show isn't even about him. Instead, they push him in the background and make him the supporting character for the 2 female leads, Ciri and Yennefer. And Yennefer is also another character who has been race swapped into a female of color. So look at that. And because of that result of pushing Henry Cavill to the side to platform the 2 female characters, fans are not liking it. They're not wanting it. And the series has been receiving backlash from day one. Ever since that announcement was made, they've been receiving a bunch of backlash. And fans are not liking it. Which also brings us to this very important point that I really wanted to talk about, especially after seeing what's been going on with The Witcher. See, when it comes to this whole diversity and inclusiveness, the biggest problem is when these companies create this type of environment, they end up breeding figureheads and creating monsters of their own making that ends up becoming the demise of their own franchises and their own companies. So what do I mean by that? So I'm going to give you some examples starting with Disney and Marvel. Disney and Marvel, Jesus Christ. See, what we have here when it comes to the making of their own monster and the demise of their own franchises, we're going to look at a specific Disney Plus series, which was She-Hulk. We had a writer that Disney, Kevin Feige, has pretty much hired named Jessica Gao. Jessica Gao is clearly a diversity hire. For the simple fact is, her and her team is very incompetent. They even admitted that they didn't know how to write a law show. Now, if many of you guys don't know, when it comes to She-Hulk, even though She-Hulk is a female version of the Hulk, she has done a lot of things that made her and separated her from the Hulk. So she's a tokenized character that has her own identity. Her whole character was sex appeal. She was sexy, feminine, and strong. But she was also a lawyer who pretty much had garnered a huge male fan base, a huge male demographic who really enjoyed the She-Hulk character. So you wasn't able to compare She-Hulk and Hulk. She became her own character, her own identity. She made a name and a brand for herself that many fans enjoy. And she also broke the fourth wall. Deadpool came into the picture. So she already had something for her. She had her own agency and everything. And here you go. You have Jessica Gao. She comes in and she takes over the character. And she completely ruins and butchered the character. And what I mean by the monster of Disney's own making, she has pretty much became a thorn in Kevin Feige's side, because she tries to dictate what she tried to do with the character and with the show, and look at what happened as a result. She even threatened that she was going to leave the job at one point because she wanted to take the character Kev, which is supposed to be a symbol for Kevin Feige, and give Kev a cap, because Kevin Feige wears a cap, and Kevin Feige didn't want that. And they argued back and forth about it, but she became a pain in Disney's side. And the thing is, they doubled down on it, especially once the fans had started to speak out on the She-Hulk series, because She-Hulk has a male demographic, a male audience, but the whole entire show spent most of the time downplay men. They have done it in this show, and it became very disrespectful. And then when it comes to these writers, they pretty much double down on it and blame it on the fans and call them sexist for not wanting to support a show that's targeted to talk down to them. Make that make sense. And then, of course, another one, Brie Larson. And we can't forget this infamous clip.
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color.
See, Brie Larson is another figurehead within the Disney Marvel aspect, and we will get more into Disney in its own separate video, especially when it comes to the MCU and how they ruined it. We'll definitely talk about that. Shameless plug here. But Brie Larson has been another figurehead within this whole diversity and inclusiveness, because she has been going on these campaigns just spilling nonsense out of her mouth. And since Disney had created this woke environment, or this environment to where they want to appear so diverse and inclusive, that you have certain individuals who come into this space, take advantage of that space to spill their own agenda, their own nonsense, and now the studios can't say nothing about it. They created a monster, because if a studio steps in to try to correct Brie Larson or someone like Jessica Gao and many others I'm going to mention later on, these same individuals can flip that on them, call them sexist, call them whatever they want, and that will internally and externally make the company look really, really bad. So they go on and allow these individuals to continue to damage the brand by attacking the fans and just spilling out nonsense to not want to make the fans come and support whatever project that they have. And Brie Larson is another one of them, which even some of the co-stars don't get along with her. And there's also been talks that behind the scenes she's pretty much a diva and haven't been getting along with the cast even of the Marvels. So this is what I'm talking about. And then we also can't forget about Elizabeth Banks. Elizabeth Banks is another individual. If you guys don't know, she also starred as Rita Repulsa in the up-to-date reboot of Power Rangers, but she also started getting into directing for studios and everything. She has been given the opportunity to direct these different projects, and mostly all her projects failed. But she says this one thing that really ticked a lot of people off.
For men to have enough empathy to go see movies starring women, because I've been asked to go see movies starring men my entire life, and happily have done so. And I don't know why men don't return the fucking favor.
See, let me tell you something, Elizabeth Banks. No one owes you anything. No one has to go see your movies or any of your projects. And this is the thing about diversity and inclusiveness. They also want to preach about equality. And so if you want equality, you're definitely getting equality. Because guess what? I don't go see every male-directed or every male-led movie. There's a lot of male-led movies that's completely garbage and trash that I'm not supporting at all. I'm not going to support it. So if you want to be treated equally, then guess what? If you put out garbage, then I'm not going to see it or support it. I don't care if you're a woman or not. If you create trash, then I'm not going to see it. And I'm damn sure not going to support something if you're going to speak down to me, especially speaking down to the male audience. I'm definitely not going to support it. You want people on your side, but you can't attack the people that you want to be on your side. That doesn't make sense at all. So if your product is good, you don't have to beg men to go see your product. People will go see it if it actually speaks out to them. And when it comes to directors, most people don't even know who the directors are most of the time. They just see a project. If it looks good, they go see it. So I can guarantee you that most people didn't know that your movie, which was Charlie's Angels, was directed by you. I guarantee that most people didn't know anyway. But you put out garbage. You ruined you ruined a franchise. You ruined the studio's chances to make actual money. That Charlie's Angels was complete trash. It was garbage. And we had Charlie's Angels movies before that. That was a fun popcorn film to see, you know? And they turned it into a feminist nightmare. And look what happened. And then, let's talk about the new woke acolyte princess, Rachel Zegler. Now, Rachel Zegler, she's been cast as Snow White, Latino actress who's been cast as Snow White. I know, right? So this film is super diverse and inclusive to the point that Rachel Zegler herself is going around spewing nonsense on these different press junkets, and Disney can't really stop her. And she's hurting the Snow White movie even before it released. Now, Clownfish TV, shout outs to them, they have been covering this because I didn't know anything about what was going on when it came to the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs and the casting of the dwarfs that we now don't have dwarfs really at all. So shout outs to them. I've been keeping up with them. Check out their channel. But after seeing all this, Rachel Zegler, she's another one that Disney cannot control. They can't stop her. She's going on this feminist tirade. She's going on this diverse and inclusiveness tirade to the point that she's also a spoiled brat she's been getting in a lot of scuffles with fans, and fans are starting to get tired of her mess. So the Snow White movie is going to be dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. No one's going to go support that movie because of her. And of course, because of all the other changes that they made to the original story that Disney had produced years ago. And last but not least, Frost herself. The diversity queen herself, Frost. This woman took down an entire business, an entire company in a matter of days with her feminist spiel, her diverse and inclusive spiel on G4 TV. And this is a perfect case of what I mean by a company creating a monster and the demise of their own making. Is because when you look at the cast, which is mostly majority male, Adam Sessler, the Completionist, and many other people that was there on that panel, they allowed Frost. Frost went on this tirade. And you notice that all the men that's on that panel was afraid to say anything. Especially Completionist. The Completionist, you see it all in his body language, you see it all in his face, that he's completely uncomfortable, and this was something that he did not sign up for.
This is not where I thought we were going.
This is not where I thought we were going.
But since they created this woke environment, this diverse and inclusive environment, these men aren't allowed to say anything. And they allowed this woman, because they didn't say anything, which by the way is sexist, because if that was a man in Frog's place and he said the nonsense that he said, they all would have said something about it. Adam Sessler, everybody would have jumped in and pretty much clowned him and made fun of him to make him realize what he's saying is stupid. Because she a woman though, they sat back and allowed Frost to go in there and do that bit that destroyed that entire company, that put everybody out of a job. Destroyed it, just like that. Look at everybody. Adam Sessler wanted to say something, couldn't say anything at all. Everybody was there, didn't say anything. Allowed her to do that. And then she made it even in another interview, how she talked about how this nonsense where she talked about that Sony need to get themselves together. That Xbox in 2022 or was it 2021 is going to decimate PlayStation. Like, what universe does she live in? What universe is where Microsoft is dusting PlayStation? And don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted. I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. Like I said, I own all 3 of the consoles here. But what I'm saying is, we gotta look at the reality of things. She's pretty much saying that Sony has nothing, no legs to stand on, and Microsoft is pretty much dusting Sony, and that Sony need to get themselves together.
Okay, yeah, Starfield's great. Obsidian, amazing. I actually think Xbox is going to have a hell of a 2022. I think they're going to absolutely smoke Sony. What the fuck? Until Sony get their act together right now. I think the PlayStation is kind of dead man walking.
Oh, wow.
And you look at the men. You look at all of them. They sat there and allowed her to spew that nonsense. They allowed her to spew that nonsense. This is the pure definition of diverse and inclusiveness just for the sake of it. She has no idea what the hell she's talking about. No idea. Didn't even read the room. Didn't even read the room. And because of that, she destroyed the business. And I grew up with G4, which is the sad thing about it. I remember being in high school, man, running into this, you know, this network, this channel. We finally have a channel that's dedicated to my hobby, gaming. I enjoy a lot of the content they had on there, and I enjoy more specifically Adam Sessler, which he's an asshole now, and then Olivia Munn. Now the thing about Olivia Munn, she knew what she was. She knew that she was eye candy, and she played into that. She was the sex appeal. She was the draw to the show. She didn't complain about it. She accepted it. And because of that, they also gave her many other opportunities. She went from G4 TV to being Psylocke in X-Men Apocalypse. Psylocke, one of my favorite Marvel characters, and also one of my mains in Marvel vs. Capcom. She played as Psylocke. Now, I mean, the movie was trash, but you get what I'm saying. She embraced what she was. She knew she was an attractive woman. She utilized her sexuality to get ahead. And Frost, in my personal opinion, I think she was jealous of that.
Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
And yet, they moved on to bigger and better careers for being nice on the eyes.
And I wish I could turn the camera around so that you could see the incredible team that make X-Play. Half of our producers and writers are women. Emily, Abby, Megan, Joe, Jake, Zipper, Gabby. It goes on and on and on.
And because of you, all of those women behind the cameras has lost their jobs.
There will be backlash because I'm not as bangable as the previous host.
Because the first thing she talked about was how she's not fuckable like Olivia Munn. That's what I think that's what most of these people that's running this industry. People who are insecure and they're jealous of certain characteristics that they wish they have, and then they take that out on the audience and they just damage brands because of that. So that's pretty much Frogs and how these people who came in and just because of diversity and inclusiveness had destroyed a lot of these brands, man. And as I said before, man, I'm all fine for seeing different people being represented, but do not allow that to be the vocal point when it comes to a project, a product, a service, or anything of the sort. Don't allow diversity and inclusiveness destroy quality storytelling, quality gaming experiences, just because you want to have something look diverse, but it offers no substance. Never let that happen. And because of that, man, this whole diversity and inclusiveness had pretty much taken me away. I stopped enjoying a lot of entertainment that's out there right now, you know? It's just sad to see that my favorite franchises like Star Wars and like Marvel Comics and DC Comics and many other franchises get infected by this diversity and inclusion nonsense they propelling here in society and trying to make this a standard, and that this stuff is quality of these products are getting tainted and destroyed because of this whole initiative they have going on. Diversity and inclusion can be good if done right, and if it's going to actually add value to the product or to the story that's trying to be told. Because if that's more important than the actual story, then you don't have anything at all if people can't connect or relate to it. And because of that, it had pretty much pushed me to actually create my own. And that's what I've been doing. Instead of complaining about something, you do something about it. There's a problem and you create a solution. And I think that's where a lot of people are doing. That's why you see a lot of independent creators out there that's doing their own thing. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm a person that takes initiative. And that's why you see right here on my shirt, Venus Orion Comics. I started the LLC 2 years ago, and I've been working on my own comic book universe. And eventually I would love my stuff, my content to actually get into animation. I would love my content to become anime. I would love my content to even become video games, more specifically fighting games and RPGs and every other genre, but more specifically I would love to see those in those genres as well. And I've been really working really hard on it, and I can't wait to show you guys. Can't show you guys fully anything. I can't really break down any of the details until next year, because next year I am planning, and hopefully this will get done in time. I plan to release my first comic book issue of all, like for the very first time, and there will be a campaign. There will be advertisements and marketing and a presentation for you guys to see what I have going. This is something that I have been cooking for the past 2 years, and it's coming out of my pocket. I haven't asked any of you guys for a dime at all. I got to put my money where my mouth is. And if you guys do want to show some support, that would be also awesome. But right now, most of it and all of it is coming out of my pocket. And I have that much faith in it that it will end up being something great and amazing that I'll be able to share with the rest of the world, because I enjoy entertainment. I enjoy comics. I enjoy anime. I enjoy cartoons. I enjoy video games. So I want to be able to produce those same things and, you know, share my vision with you guys, and hopefully you guys will embrace it. I think it'll be pretty cool. And yes, I'm going to have my own characters or whatever. And yes, they will be diverse too, but their diversity is not going to matter. It's never going to matter, because any man, woman, no matter what color, what your sexual orientation is, everybody will be able to find some character that they can be able to relate to. And that's what pushed me to go into my work even more. So, like I said, if there's a problem and you don't like it, fix it your damn self or become part of the solution. And that's what I'm going to do. But diversity of thought is much more important than anything else. And that's all I really have to say about this topic. I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think about diversity and inclusiveness? Do you think it's a scam? Do you think it's hurting the industry, whether it's entertainment, gaming, or just in culture in general? Do you think we should just get back to merit-based, or just get back to just allow us just to be human? Just allow us just to enjoy and just be entertained. That's what we want. We just want to be entertained. We don't want to be preached to. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. You know, let me know whether or not you think I'm an incel, or let me know whether or not you think I'm wrong on any of this. So that wraps this video up. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, because it definitely helps me out in the algorithm, and I appreciate the love and support that you guys have been showing here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.